Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we are on episode 3 of our 4-part mini-series here covering the 4 different divisions in the NHL. Uh, I think we're relatively quickly going to jump right into it. Before we do you have anything you want to talk about?
Nope, no, nothing really going on right now. Rookie camps are kind of just wrapping up here. By this weekend, we're starting to get into some preseason games, but by that point, all of our divisional previews will be out and everything. So I don't think there's anything else really to say. Then we're doing the Atlantic today.
Yeah. I do have one bit of news here. There's nothing really to say on it. But we do have some unfortunately tragic news going around the hockey community, especially the Calgary hockey community, as Orca Weissblatt died in a car accident yesterday. He had spent 4 seasons with the Calgary Hitmen, brother to Oasis, Ozzy Weissblatt. I think they've got like 5 brothers. I think there's a lot of them, but just tragic news. He just died in a car accident the other day, and that sucks. Everything I've seen about the Weissblatt family is like absolutely glowing. Like it seems like anyone who has been anywhere near them has nothing but phenomenal things to say. So truly a tragedy, and there's nothing to dissect with that, but I think I can pretty safely speak for both of us and send best wishes to them and their family at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible hockey family, incredible family in general. The story that's come out about their family and that's available for everybody to watch is truly incredible. And so our hearts go out to the entire Weissblatt family during what's an absolutely just terrible time right now.
Yeah, it's too bad. I literally, I think it was yesterday, I was watching a clip of his brother Oasis, who I believe is a Nashville Predators prospect, score. I don't know if it was on a breakaway or if it was a penalty shot or something, but he scored a nice goal and had a 6 celly, and I was like, it always made me glad to see anyone in that family get mentioned because they're all just they're great hockey players and good people. So truly a tragedy, and hopefully they can find some solace in all of those brothers are kind of getting to the point where they're expected to begin attempting to jump to the NHL level or the AHL. But unfortunately, I didn't know where to throw. I could possibly throw that in the middle of the episode, so I wanted to do it at the beginning. But with that out of the way, we can get into our season previews. Who are we starting with, Brundi?
So if anybody's kept tabs on, the recent episodes and how we do things here, pretty simple. We just rolled through the teams based on how they did last year. So pretty easy there, which means we are starting off with the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs, who finished first in the Atlantic last year with 108 points, went out in the second round in a 7-game series to the Florida Panthers. They took them further than anybody else, so that's something there for Toronto. But before we dive in and talk about Toronto, we will start off by predicting where we think they will finish in the Atlantic Division this year. Braden, are you ready? Countdown here.
I am ready.
Alrighty, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs finishing in 3, 2, 1, third.
Second. Okay, so you got him third. I got him second. So we both predict that they're gonna, at the very least, fall from that first place spot in the division that they secured last season. Yeah. Why do you have them falling 2 spots?
Pretty simple. I like some of the moves they made in the offseason, but how do you replace Mitch Marner that much? It's pretty tough to do. You do still have fantastic players in Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, William Nylander on the forward. But are we going to get another, 40-goal season out of John Tavares next year? Or are we going to start to see a little bit of regression. Is Austin Matthews going to be able to play a full season, or is he going to be, only there for 50 to 60 games? Um,
And
those are
who's he
kind of my
playing
two
with?
biggest concerns. Yeah, that is another.
Is
It's another big
Nylander
part.
up
So
onto the first line, or does that mean if he stays on that second line with Tavares, does that mean a first line of Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews, and Matthias Michelli? It's not bad, but looked a lot better with a guy like Marner up there.
exactly, yeah. So do they have the talent to finish second, even first? Absolutely, the talent is there, but there's still a lot of questions. And again, it's very tough to replace a guy like Mitch Marner. Whether as a Leafs fan you loved him or hated him, you can't deny the on ice impact he had on both ends of the ice.
Yeah,
More so in the regular season than the playoffs, yes, but we're only talking about the regular season here, and that's a big hole to fill. So that's really the biggest reason I had Toronto kind of um, taking a step back this year. Not an insane amount because again, I think this division's really good. A lot of teams are going to be in the mix, all kind of close, like we saw last year. Um, but yeah, I like their defense. I think their defense is totally fine for once, actually. Goaltending
yeah,
can be awesome, can be shaky. We'll see there, but it's really just that impact of losing Mitch Marner and how do you know fix that or fill that hole. It's not easy.
yeah, yeah. I'm very interested to see what they do with the lines because Nylander's been playing so well with Tavares, and I think that's also kind of staving off regression from Tavares in its own right. But you know, Michelli is a pretty good passer, so like he could fit in on that top line with Matthews, but at the same time, you want to be able to surround those guys with other elite talent. And I mean, I don't know if I see kind of a playmaking version of the goal scoring increase that we saw for a guy like Zach Hyman, where he shows up and he's a all right goal scorer, but that's not even the biggest part of his game. And then he shows up in Edmonton, plays with McDavid, then all of a sudden he's coming up on 60 goals in a season almost. So Michelli, a good playmaker. You put him with Austin Matthews, maybe we get a huge season out of him. It'll be interesting to see. They
Yeah,
are kind
that's
of missing that big
definitely a
number one D
possibility.
man. They're
Yeah, it's
like,
it's a it's a decor that's surrounded with a lot of good defensemen, but nothing top end type of thing,
yeah,
right?
that
And
guy who's like, if they win the cup, he's at least going to be in the top 3 voting for the Conn Smythe on the team kind of guy.
yeah,
Like their best
yeah, like I
defenseman,
like
it's probably still Morgan Riley, and you know he's good. I wouldn't be mad at him being second best on a team, but being the best does make it a bit tougher.
100%. Like Jake McCabe, solid. Chris Tanev, solid. Brandon Carlo, pretty solid. Morgan Riley, again, they're best defenseman. And then even the third pair that they've got right now, don't know if this is what they're going to roll with, but Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Simone Benoit, like that's fine. But
That's
again,
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like what you said that they just don't have that like top number one guy. And
that Makar type.
yeah, and that's something that I think Toronto could really benefit from. And it's kind of an unfortunate year where you lose Marner and there wasn't, a number one defenseman kind of out there that they could go after and try and
Yeah,
get to be like, all right, well, we lost Marner, but we now have a true number one defenseman on the back end to play with all these, great forwards that we have. And can they make it work with these six guys? Absolutely, we've seen it,
yeah,
but again, would like it a lot more. Again, yeah, if you again, it doesn't have to be like a Kale McCarr. We just say Kale McCarr because like that's just the easiest one.
yeah,
But even just having anyone that's a stable number one defenseman
yeah.
um,
You
would
know,
benefit them. But
yeah.
tough. Those are tough
A
to find.
Hedman, a Petrangelo, like whether you think about Petrangelo in St. Louis or in Vegas, like you need that guy who is the guy on the blue line.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be quite to even those guys' levels, but you know, you probably don't want to go too much below a guy like, Petrangelo if you have cup aspirations as your number
Yeah.
one D-man. So
Yeah, that's exactly it. And again, yeah, overall, like you bring in Michelli, I think he's going to be a good fit there. You locked in Matthew Nyes, now that's huge. You bring in Nicholas Waugh, who from Vegas, for Marner, and I think that's a perfect third line center. Like that's exactly what you need there. You
yeah,
bring in Dakota Joshua. If he can bounce back and be who he was with Vancouver a couple years ago, that's huge for your bottom six. Like there's no
I think that was a
area in the
great pickup by them,
forwards. Yeah,
Dakota
like a
Joshua.
very underrated pickup, and um, yeah, overall, I really do like the forward core. It's just again, you can like as much as you want, but it's like, damn, if you had Mitch Marner there, it'd look way better. And that's kind of gotta be the narrative that I think Toronto's fighting a lot all year, because if things start to get tough, it's like, man, if you kept Marner,
Yeah,
but at the same time, we know come playoff time it wasn't gonna work, but
yeah. That would
with Toronto, there's
it would
always
be
gonna be
revisionist
narratives and
history. Like
exactly.
they couldn't run back the same core. If
You couldn't.
if you're talking about, man, they shouldn't have moved Marner, then in that same hypothetical, you're saying, okay, and we moved Nylander on his brand new extension or something. Like you couldn't run back the same guys.
No.
It just
There had
wouldn't
to be
work.
a shakeup. It's unfortunate that the way that it went. At least you're able
Yeah,
to get something back, but again, I think there's a big hole to fill there. And again, the two biggest things for me is can Austin Matthews stay healthy? Can he get back to that at least 50 goals a year? And John Tavares, what level is he going to be at? And can he do what he did last year? Because without Marner, they're going to need Tavares to be pretty close to what he was last year. And if he's not, you're going to need Michelli to pick up that slack, or a Max Domi, or whatever. Because Matthew Nyes, I think everybody's kind of in agreement that we're going to see another big step from him
yeah, he looks
in
poised
terms of
for it.
production. So, yeah, like it's their. And Nylander, we know what he's going to do, but it's the 1 and 2 centers that what are you going to get out of them?
Yeah,
And this team will go as far as these two can get them. Because if Nylander's doing great, Nyes is doing great, that's awesome. But if Matthews is injured and Jean Tavares takes a step back, you're still in trouble.
yeah,
Do you still make the playoffs? Probably, but you're probably not in a great spot going into the playoffs, finishing the season, all of that. So I'm very
yeah,
curious to see, how kind of goes for Toronto here.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And when I was initially putting together my rankings or my prediction for this, I originally had them fourth, and I was like,
Wow, and
they're
then you went all the way up to 2. Then wow,
yeah, because I was like, they lost Marner, they're gonna fall off a bit, and then I looked at their lines, and I looked at the other teams that were in the 2-3 spot at the time, and I was like, you know what? They lost a guy like Marner, but like this is a very deep team, and they've got that high end talent in guys like Nylander and Matthews. So
yeah,
yeah, I was like, I just feel like I can't be too low on him. And
no, that's
Anthony
that's
Stolarz,
fair.
one of the most underrated goalies in the league.
Yeah,
Absolutely incredible.
and probably a tandem this year. I think I would assume is what they're gonna run, unless one just goalie just gets really hot and the
Probably
other one cools off.
kind
Like you
of
kind of go with a
depends
tandem
on
until one takes the reins.
that's the thing. I feel like we kind of know what we'll get out of Stolarz. I don't know what we'll see with Wool. If because
Mhm.
he's been a little inconsistent at times. He's still young, so that's expected. But he's also had a little bit of injury issues. So we'll see if any of that comes into play. But they still do have a pretty solid crease. So I don't think it's going to steal them a ton of games, but I don't think it's going to cost them that many either.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling there with that. Other than that, I don't really have much more to say on the Leafs. I think they're still comfortably going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
But I do expect there to be some growing pains without a guy like Mitch Marner, who, you know, one
it's
of your
tough to
top
replace
dogs, one
that.
of your leaders for the last few years, and overall regular season, one of your best players. Like that's not
That's
easy to
just
replace.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. I guess the only thing left to say for the Leafs is, do you see any of their players winning individual hardware?
Um, I mean, Austin Matthews, I think could be a number. Selke could be in play there. If healthy, the Rocket, the Art Ross, the Hart. Like, I think if Austin Matthews is healthy for a full season, take your pick out of those. He could win. He could win numerous awards this year, and I mean, with Toronto, that's about it for me.
Yeah, it really is kind of the only obvious choice. In a world where Matthews gets injured and plays, you know, 40 games or less, and they still make the playoffs, I can see a world where Nylander squeezes out a Hart Trophy if like other big dogs are getting injured and he like, puts up 110 points and carries them to the playoffs. But that's kind of something that you could say about every team if all the good players
Yeah,
except one goes down. So
that's kind of I kind of thought about that, but I was like, yeah, for exactly that reason. Because
yeah.
again, yeah, I can make that argument for um, a lot of teams, but I think with that, we can move on from Toronto here,
Yep.
the Marnerless Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm just gonna throw this in here, so we're all good there. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Your Tampa Bay Lightning here, Braden.
Yes, sir.
Finishing second in the Atlantic last year with 102 points, and unfortunately going out in round one to the Florida Panthers. I'll count it down here. Let's see. We got the Tampa Bay Lightning finishing this season in 3, 2, 1, first.
First. Yes,
All right.
sir.
We both got the Tampa Bay Lightning finishing in first. I originally didn't have them finishing in first. I actually swapped it at the very last second before we started. I originally had them in second. And we'll kind of go. Well, I'll kind of go through that more as we talk about them and who I've got in second. But I'll let you kick it off here first with your Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. So assuming, because you had the Leafs third, um, and you swapped the Lightning with somebody at the last second to make room, I can only assume we both have the same team, right? The same three teams in the top three. But
Yeah, I would assume so.
and I mean, we're not a Marvel movie. We don't have to build up too much to the revealed. I don't know your list, so maybe it's a little speculation, but I'm gonna guess it's the Florida Panthers. And I just had them a bit lower because I was like, they're at that spot Tampa was in 2022, where you don't have to care about the regular season. You are going to get to the playoffs. And
Exactly.
they're at that same point we were at, where not only that, you don't care who you're facing. You think you can beat anybody. You don't care
Yeah.
if you're facing the all-star team of the East or West. Like you're ready for whatever. So you can take your foot off the gas. You're still going to get in comfortably because you're just better than everyone, but you're not forcing it. So I don't think they're going to be putting everything they have into winning the division this year. And I think the Lightning will, because we've had incredible success in the last 6 years, but the last 2 years we ran into Florida in the first round and we lost both times. And I got to imagine they want to do everything they can to try and not face them. So they're going to try and win the division. And I love a lot of the moves that they have made over the past bit. And I think they're at a point where they're definitely poised and could win this division. Like that top line of Kucherov, Point, and Gensel is just money. Like I don't even know if you can find a real weak point in there now with Gensel's two-way game on top of all the scoring. I'm hoping Hagel can recreate what he did last season as well. Like 90 points, just absolutely incredible. Like it's a little disingenuous to say out of nowhere, but like I didn't think he was ever going to be a 90-point player. Like that was huge. So that Sorelli, if Gonsalves takes a step, we still have Bjorkstrand for another year if he's healthy. Connor Geeky, if he can take a step. And then even some of the offseason ads, Pontus Holmberg, Jacob Peltier, we got like for $800K a year for 3 years. Like he's just locking up some money in case he can't get past his injuries. But if he can get past them, that's like an insane bargain on a guy who's been a great producer. Just, most seasons he's playing 20 to 40 games, if that. So, bit of a gamble on that. And the defense is the only area of concern for me. It's not bad, but if JJ Moser doesn't take a step on that first pair right side, they're going to need somebody to fill that gap a little bit. And then, of course, Vasilevsky in the crease. I mean,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's bulletproof.
Yeah, for a lot of the things you kind of said, like obviously, I do have the Tampa Bay Lightning finishing first. Sorry, but do I think they're the best team in the Atlantic Division? Like, no. But again, do you need to be the best team? No, because again, going off what you said, the Tampa Bay Lightning have a lot to prove here. This is a team with a lot of pride. It's already crazy now, so fresh after they did it, but like they're the second most recent team to go back to back, and that was very recently that they did that. And since then, they've had their struggles, and it's not even due to really their own play or their talent. It's just it's the way the matchups go, and that's one of the things with hockey that that's just what happens with it.
Somebody has to lose to the cup winners in the first round. Somebody has to. Happens every year.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The Colorado Avalanche, as good as they were, they went out round one because sometimes that's just the matchups you get. But this team has a lot of pride. They have a lot to prove. They have good talent. Is there some areas that I'm a little bit concerned with? Absolutely. But when you have a head coach like John Cooper, when you have Brisebois as, a GM there who is one of the most active GMs in the league and always not afraid to make moves and whatnot when there needs to be. It's not like he immediately hits the panic button, but if he sees an issue and it can't be fixed or addressed, he takes matters into his own hands, and 9 times out of 10 he hits a home run. The only reason I said 9 times out of 10 is because I'll never let him live down the Tanner Jeannot thing. Like,
yeah,
that's just impossible. But
that's fair. And
overall, the top end talent.
To be
is
fair,
there.
I loved that trade when it was announced. Like,
I didn't hate it at the time.
There's no way.
There's
no way to sound there's no way to sound like that's not just like cope years later, right? But
yeah,
like at the time, I was like, we could have gotten cheaper. That's an overpay. But I do remember that season I had picked him up in fantasy, and just watching his stats, I was like, this guy's a rookie. He hits everything that moves, and he scored like 25 goals. I was like, I don't know. This, who cares what that first rounder ends up? This guy could be good. And then he still hit. He did not do the goal scoring for us at all.
Yeah. The offensive production kind of just disappeared overnight. It was kind of wild. Yeah, overall, I think there's a lot to like with the forward core. I'm very excited to see a guy like Connor Geekie and what he can do here. I had a lot of high hopes for him last year. Didn't quite live up to the expectations, but again, you kind of see that with power forwards, right?
Yeah.
Those bigger bodies, it's not as easy to just jump in and go, because when you're a bigger guy like that, you're never going to be the fastest guy out there, and you potentially could be in juniors. And then that's insane when you're that big and, one of the fastest guys out there. But it takes a bit to translate to the NHL and, figure out how to play your game and what's needed out of you. And again, I think last year he learned a lot, was able to take a lot away from it, and can definitely take that and implement that into the season and improve.
Yeah, I'm really hoping he takes a big step.
This team.
If he doesn't, because the team is so focused on winning now, right? Like, you got a guy like Kucherov, and he's 32, and he hasn't showed any signs of stopping yet. But Father Time is undefeated. Well, okay, Yager might take him to a draw, but other than that, he's undefeated. And they want to win now. And if Geekie doesn't show a lot of improvement this next season, I do wonder if, at the deadline, if there's a really good player out there with a cheap cap hit, and Geekie's a little expendable for this season and he has value, I could see a move happening there. But I don't want to see that. So I'm hoping he does improve. His stats were very mid in the AHL for most of the year. He played in the NHL for a good while, went down to the AHL, didn't see much. And then February hit, and he played almost a goal per game, well over a point per game in the AHL. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got a break or if just something changed, but all of a sudden his stats were incredible. And then he got called back up for the playoffs, and a few games before that, he looked great in those. So he finished the season very strong, and I'm hoping they can really get some momentum from that. Um, One other thing that I wasn't planning on mentioning, but you did bring up John Cooper, and I figured I might as well. Um, I was on Reddit the other day on r/hockey, and there was some post that was like, what it was just a very basic, what is your hot take for this upcoming season? And there is one guy that I think he had five or six things posted, but one of his bullet points was John Cooper gets fired midseason. And so I responded to that. If John Cooper is not still the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning by the time the cup is handed out, I will eat a pair of socks. Uh, so I do plan on doing that if he gets fired, because I'll be sad enough to do it anyway. But you know
That's
what?
fair.
I just can't see the team moving on from him. He's such an insanely good coach that I'm glad that even after a couple first round exits, the amount of people talking about it is still very low.
Yeah, I think John Cooper is probably the best coach in the NHL right now. Um, if you don't think he's number one, again, he's top three for everybody. There's no
Yeah.
arguing or debating that. I wouldn't even hear anybody out that says he's outside top three, because you're just wrong, and that's okay to be wrong. We're all wrong sometimes. And we know he coached Canada in the Four Nations, which they won. He's going to head coach Canada in the Olympics here. If Tampa Bay somehow misses the playoffs, or they make the playoffs and they get swept in round one or lose in five, I could see a world where John Cooper does get fired, and I don't even think it's because of him. I think it straight up comes down to a move needs to be made, and
Right.
something's got to change. And we see in some instances where when things start to get tough and GMs start to feel like they're on the hot seat, they say, well, hold on, don't fire me yet. Let me fire my coach, bring in a new guy, and if that doesn't work, well, then you're kind of shut out of luck and you get fired. And that's kind of what we see happen quite a bit, where GMs are in the hot seat and they make the coach the fall guy, and that's kind of their last Hail Mary of, I don't want to lose my job yet. This is my last chance to save myself. So in a world I could see, John Cooper getting fired, do I think it happens? No, because again, I don't think Breezeball is anywhere on the hot seat. He's probably still got the safest, security out of any GM in the league, with where the Lightning are at, where what he's done and how he's always trying to keep them competitive, make them better, despite a team that's, getting a bit older, and, they've already got their 2 cups, but he's still actively doing shit like, pulling off a move to move Sergachev, because you realize, hey, the money's not there, and get a defenseman that could potentially turn into a Sergachev, and you get a guy that could be a top 6 forward for you for the next 15 years. Most GMs would be like, I'm going to hold on to my top pair defenseman, but in the cap world, you got to make stuff happen. So
that was right before his no move kicked in as well. That was like
was huge
1 or
there
2
as
days.
well. Because then you're stuck with that contract, and it makes it a little tough. And it opened the door to get Jake Gensel, who kind of needed on that top line, and it showed last year. So long story short, I don't think John Cooper gets fired. I see a 2% chance where it could happen, but I don't think that's happening here.
Yeah. I think that's about everything we got for them. Unless we want to talk about these individual awards here.
For this one, I'm just gonna let you throw them out. I'm just gonna let you pick.
Okay.
I'll probably agree with all of them. Actually, there might be one that I won't agree with, but I don't even know if you're going to say it.
I'm going to start with it. Darren Radish for the Ted Lindsay. No.
Oh, yeah, I'm on board.
Vasilevsky for the Vezina is always up there. He finished second in voting last year. Kucherov coming off back-to-back Art Rosses, so won the Ted Lindsay last year. So both of those in the heart are up in the conversation. I think Hedman's still around the Norris conversation. I think he's at the point where he is a dark horse because
Okay, I'm at least glad you said that.
In my opinion, anybody who's not Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes is closer to a dark horse than a real candidate because those guys are just out of their mind. Like, there's other guys that, Roman Josi, Werenski, they have seasons where they're up near those guys' production, but it doesn't really sustain over several seasons. At least we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. Those guys are just on another level. I mean, I could see Point or Gensel with a really good season, challenging for the Rocket. I think Point's more likely on that. If one of them starts being a bit more of a playmaker and they're not both 40-goal guys, I could see it. And then Cirelli and Hagel for the Selke. More likely Cirelli because he's a centerman. But I could definitely see both of them being in the conversation again this year. Cirelli was third in voting last year, and I think Hagel was fifth or sixth. He was somewhere up there. So I could see any of those guys finding some
across the board. Absolutely, yeah. But moving on from your,
which one was the one you thought you were wondering if I was going to say?
The Hedman one. But as soon as you said dark horse, I was like, okay, I'm fine. But if you said as like a favorite or going to be in the conversation, I'd be like, all right, let's. But dark horse, absolutely.
The most I would say is in the conversation, which to me is like being anywhere from third to sixth or seventh, most likely. But
yeah, I can.
There's only two guys I would say are favorites for it.
Yeah, I can be on board with that. Next up here, the Florida Panthers. We kind of talked about them briefly, so no introduction for them here. We'll get right into it. The Florida Panthers. I should say they finished third in the Atlantic last year, 98 points. Didn't even reach 100. Boo. But we know the story with them. Back-to-back Stanley Cup champions here. The Florida Panthers in 3, 2, 1, second.
Third.
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah. So we just had the Leafs and the Panthers swapped.
Yeah, and my reasoning for why I ended up moving them down to second instead of first, where I originally had them, is pretty simple. Kind of like what you said. They don't give a shit about the regular season.
They don't need to.
They don't care. They're gonna make the playoffs, and that's it. That's all they need. They literally won the cup last year. Never had home ice advantage once. They could finish fifth in the division in the second wildcard spot, and they're like, we got them right where we want them.
Yeah,
like that's their mentality.
That just means they got extra rest.
Yeah, there's no expectations for them in the regular season because all the expectations is when they get into the playoffs. That's when everybody takes that next step. That's when everybody plays like they're a foot taller, 200 pounds heavier, and they just go out there and dominate. So
in Brad Marchand's case, 10 years younger.
Yeah. Obviously, the big thing, Matthew Tkachuk is going to miss some time this year. How much time does he miss? Don't fully know. But what I can say for sure is he's going to be back and healthy by the Olympics. He ain't missing that shit. But again, a team that just won back-to-back cups. They have dick all to prove in the preseason, regular season. I don't expect them to be very active in terms of, bringing guys in really or really much from moving pieces out. They're running the band back from last year, exactly what they wanted. The only area of concern that I even really have is Sergei Bobrovsky. Obviously not getting any younger. What level is he at here? And that's kind of just the biggest thing. We know how good he's been the last few years, but again, with goalies, when they start to get up there in age, it gets a lot more difficult. So
he is turning 37 in 5 days. So
damn, he's 37 already.
he's getting right up there, but at the same time, like he's playing some of the best hockey he ever has, and you
Yeah,
know, yeah,
can I agree with that?
it's it's gonna be so annoying when they announce that they've extended him and he's getting paid $3 million a season for the next 3 years, and they're just gonna have that $10 million cap hit off the books and open them up to doing whatever they want with that. But yeah, there's not a lot of holes you can poke in this lineup. Like uh, you can't even say anywhere in their defense. Even their third line's solid. Their fourth line is solid. I don't know, maybe something better than Jesper Bokvist. Uh, their backup goalie. I mean, if you're not running a tandem, what team's backup goalie isn't kind of a concern? Like coaching, GMing, there's not a lot of holes to poke here.
No, there's
They're the measuring stick.
that's exactly it, right? Like they're showing what you need, what it takes to be a winning team. The system, the style of play, the outline, like they've laid out the blueprint, and starting to kind of see some teams trying to uh, follow that and try and build in that way. It hasn't really worked out for some teams, but this is the way to do it. There's a reason that this team has gone to 3 straight cup finals, won back-to-back cups. I'm still on the belief that if they didn't have the amount of injuries that they had, they've probably already three-peated at this point, to be honest. And I don't like saying that, but I really in my world I see that. But yeah, I mean, you bring in a guy like Luke Cunnin, who I think completely just fits the mold of your fourth line. Just go out there, hit, crash the net, try to be as defensively responsible as you can. I know he got a lot of shit in San Jose for what, and it's like, again, he's a third or fourth liner that was like, hey, go be a top 6 guy, go be a top power play guy. Like, I hate that narrative of seeing, and I see that a lot with guys that come and go through, San Jose because they're shit, because they just get thrusted into positions that they should not be in. Yeah. And it's the player's fault. Like,
it very similar to a guy
never
like
makes sense
Stuart
to me,
Skinner.
but
Like Stuart Skinner, he should be in a tandem or, a backup to a really good goalie. Like he shouldn't be forced to try and carry the Oilers through the playoffs. So when people are blaming him, and it's not even like, kind of a Toronto situation where, yeah, but you're making a lot of money, go do it. He's like, everyone's waiting on Skinner to like steal some games. Isn't he making like 2 mil or like 2.3 mil or something?
It's not a lot. Well, even another example, like a Darnell Nurse. People shit on, what's the narrative we're always saying about Darnell Nurse? Good defenseman, just not worth his contract. But again, you ask anybody, hey, you're working at Staples, and if your manager says, hey, we want to offer you $9.5 million per year, are you going to sit there and be like, whoa, no, I'm only worth $3 million? Like, come on. Like, if you get offered a shitload of money, anyone's going to take it, right? So I think a guy like
Staples
Luke
GM's problem.
I think he is perfect for Panthers fourth line hockey, and I think he's going to look terrific there. And that's what Florida does. They take these guys, they bring them in. Hey, come play, third pair defenseman, come play fourth line for cheap. You have a great chance to win a cup. And when it's all said and done, you're not going to be here next year, but you're going to get a fat contract elsewhere.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a couple years. Look at Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Look at Nate Schmidt. Like that's what Florida does.
Yeah.
And
that's what
I think
a lot of the
like
winning teams right about now do.
Trier, yeah.
Like not just them, but Vegas, they love bringing in guys and trying to get them in cheap, and then they kind of toss them aside when they need the cap space. And Tampa even did it with a couple of guys. Shattenkirk, come in, sign for cheap, win a cup, and then go do whatever else.
Effective.
Yeah,
it's effective. Yeah, but overall, I mean, we talked about Florida a shitload throughout the playoffs. We talked about them a decent amount in the offseason. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about them a lot
in the next playoffs.
All regular season, all playoffs. So I don't really have much more to say on them. Great team. We know what they are. And again, there's no expectations in the regular season for them. They just got to get to the
It's
the
just
dance
be
and
comfortably in the playoffs halfway through March.
yeah. In terms of individual awards, Sam Reinhart obviously I think is out there for the Rocket. We know he can he
Yep.
could absolutely. Barkov, I mean Selke obviously. Um,
They've got like 3 guys that could be potential Selke guys. Like they've got Barkov, Reinhardt, and Lundell. Like
Lundell's the tough one because they'll never give it to him over Barkov, which is very
yeah,
unfortunate for Lundell because he is so good defensively. Sam Reinhart though, because he plays on the same line with Barkov and can have the chance to outshine him sometimes when they're on the ice together,
scores a lot of
is
shorthanded
definitely
points.
possible. But I love Gustav Forsling, but you know he's not put up the points to win a Norris. Bobrovsky still very solid, but I don't see him. Because none of these guys were going out there like I want to win a regular season award. They're like, just go have fun, make the playoffs, and
Yeah.
go do it. So really, those are kind of the only two
Bobrovsky's
for
probably
me.
getting
Is
reduced starts as well. Like I'm sure he'll be the bona fide
yeah,
starter, but how many starts do you think he gets this year? 55 is probably on the upper side for me. Like I don't think he's getting to 60.
yeah, because he's
Like
probably not playing their 2 games against San Jose, Chicago, probably Anaheim. Hell, with sorry, Flames fans, both how Calgary's offense was last year, probably Calgary, like all of those ones. Just you don't even need to play him ever.
yeah.
Just let him rest against those easy opponents, and just let your backup get in there and get some rubber and yeah.
Yeah. For those are you grinning at the mention of rubber? You freak.
It sounded kind of weird the way I said it. I felt like, but we roll, we roll.
uh, no, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a couple times throughout the year where they have a road trip they're down in Florida, right? Over in the Pacific, they have a road trip, or that like northwestern road trip up in Canada. If they were just like, Bob, just get some rest, don't even show up. Like we'll just ride
Just relax.
Tarasov 3 games in a row, and that'll give you a week and a half off, and you won't have to do all this travel and go to the cold place and like just go hang out. Like I wouldn't be shocked. I would be shocked if we saw that more often going forward in the league. If we saw, you know, certain trips where it's like we have 2 away games and then we're back home, and it's like, you know what?
Those new CBA rules is going to make it tough.
That is true.
It's going to make that kind of stuff very tough.
You can't do the paper loans anymore where you would send a guy down, heavy air quotes, and then he still travels with the NHL team, and then he just doesn't play for 1 game. So
Yeah.
it will be interesting to see if some teams get caught in a corner a little bit, trying to figure out how to navigate that.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. But moving on from the Florida Panthers, moving back up to Canada here.
Actually, I have one more guy for an award because I kind of forgot, but I do think he's actually eligible for it. And that would be Mackie Samoskevich for the Calder. I
No,
He's not eligible for that?
no. I think he played way too much last year.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
So
sure
I
if
think he played like almost the whole regular season
he only
and then
played
got
7
axed.
games. Nope, that's 23-24. Yep, last season he played 72. You're right.
I was wondering
My
if you were going to
info's
say
outdated.
it.
Yeah.
He isn't
I
eligible.
could see that you knew what I was going for too as soon as I started bringing it back up, and I was like, "Oh, he knows something I don't." All
Yeah.
right, on to the next
But
team.
yeah, we'll move up here to Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators finished 4th in the Atlantic last year with 97 points, going out in round 1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And what was a fun series, in my opinion. Didn't quite live up to hype, but was still fun.
It was very
Braden,
fun, yeah. A lot of
the
overtime
Ottawa
games.
Senators here. Yeah. The Ottawa Senators here, we think, will finish in 3, 2, 1, 5th.
5th. You also have them
And
in
I have
5th?
them making the playoffs.
Um, I would have to double check what I did in the Metro, but I believe I had 4 of them in the Metro. I believe I had Columbus making the playoffs in
You had
4th.
Columbus in 4,
So I
so you
have
would
the
have Ottawa
Senators in
missing.
5th, not making the playoffs.
Brutal. I do think Ottawa does sneak into the playoffs there in that wild card spot there. I mean they did it. They did what they set out to do last year, and that was make the playoffs. Just get back into it. Even if you go round one, that's fine. Just to get some playoff experience within your what is still your young team, and show that you are taking those steps now, and you are serious about being a contender in what is a very tough division. You know, you're too good to be getting top 5, top 6, top 7 draft picks now. It is time to go all in and
Yeah.
make some noise here. And we're going to continue to just see Ottawa keep taking those steps here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, man, the Atlantic's just so good because I really do not feel great about having this team at 5th, but you know, the 3 teams we've talked about and the one we haven't that I have ahead of them, it's just they just seem like they're more equipped right now, and that's crazy looking at this lineup because like, Linus Ullmark as your starting goalie, he didn't have a great season last year, but I think that was a bit of growing pains. I think he's still one of the better goalies in the league, one of the better starters for sure. They got like guys like Jake Sanderson on that first pair, Thomas Chabot on the second, holding it down. Like that's a great 1-2 punch to have. They brought in Jordan Spence as well, which is going to really help them. And their forward core, like it's not incredibly deep, but their depth isn't bad necessarily. And their entire top 9 is pretty good. Ridley Greig, Shane Pinto, and Claude Giroux listed as your third pair, your third line. That's got to be one of the better
Pretty
third
solid.
lines in the league.
It's pretty solid, yeah. Honestly, like I like where they're at now. The goaltending I think is totally fine, and that's something that we haven't been able to say in the past. But Ottawa made it clear last offseason that their goal was to improve the goaltending, and they absolutely did that. On defense, I think Jake Sanderson's an absolute stud. Like, I've said that time and time again, and I'll continue to say that. And Zub, solid, Chabot, Jensen. Third pair, Tyler Clevin, don't fully know about that. Jordan Spence, I think, honestly, solid. I think he'll be a great addition. And coming over from the Kings, and kind of a weird move by the Kings. But yeah, the forward core. Brady Tkachuk, dog. We know he's gonna be solid. Tim Stützle, Fabian Zetterlund. I'm excited to see Fabian Zetterlund now that he had a full off season again. I think I mentioned it before, but when he got traded to San Jose, he sucked from the trade deadline at the end of the season. But once it was the following season and he just was able to get settled, full off season, everything, beast. And I fully expect that to be the case here. Batherson, we know what he is. Dylan Cousins, I think, is a huge upgrade over Josh Norris, actually, as your second line center. And I think now that he
had a very strong final
Buffalo
half of the
noise,
season.
Buffalo distractions are out of the way and everything, and he's just now in Ottawa. He's a Senator. He's rolling with the team. I think he's going to be great. So there's a lot of pieces to like with Ottawa here. And the biggest thing, again, they got the monkey off the back type of thing, right? They got into the playoffs. They know they can do it. There's no questioning. Are we good enough to do it? Can we pull it off? You absolutely can. And that's huge for a team that is kind of as young as they are and where they're at now.
Yeah, I mean, like, just comparing their headspace going into the season, despite how the playoffs went for them, comparing it to Buffalo or the Red Wings, like, they've got to be feeling way better about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and yeah, I really like the addition of Fabian Zetterlund. I think that's going to be huge for him. So I do not feel great about having them outside of the playoffs, but I was just
I'd live with it.
I was just too excited for the prospect of the Blue Jackets getting back in. They have a lot of players I like. They have a lot of talent, and they've just been a magnet for tragedy over the past 5-ish years, and it would just feel nice to see them in the playoffs again. So
I mean, I can't argue with that whatsoever. Yeah, because that's kind of the thing, right? Is there's just so many good teams now, especially in the
Yeah.
East. That there's going to be some teams that unfortunately are going to come up short. We see that every year. There's always one or two teams that are right in that fight, right down to the final couple of games, and they just barely miss out. And I mean, in the case here for you, that's going to be Ottawa this year. But I mean, that's where we're at in the NHL now. There's not as many pushover teams. There's a lot of teams that all want to win now. They all want to contend, and yeah,
Yeah, for the last
where we're at here.
before around I would say like 4 or 5 years ago, before then, there was always like at least like 6 or 7 teams that were like deep in the rebuild at any given time, it felt like. Like it was this
Yeah,
cyclical thing of you're good, then you're bad, then you're good, then you're bad. And there's a couple teams that are consistent, but the other teams are still circling around them. And uh, we've just entered this era where I don't know if it's like all the owners at once decided, I don't want to own a rebuilding team. I want my team to win. But basically, everyone's been trying to win, other than the Sharks and the Blackhawks and the Ducks over the past 4 seasons. And
yeah,
yeah, now just everyone's being super competitive. Like people, I just can't take it seriously anymore when people bring up the argument against expansion to be like, it's going to dilute the skill pool. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it might help, frankly, because I'm looking at some of these teams that miss the playoffs, and I'm like, they have too many good players to be missing the playoffs. Like,
yeah, good teams, absolutely.
every
Yeah,
team's good. So, but I guess
yeah.
that's also fun.
It's
So,
with Ottawa as well. I think the addition of Lars Eller there in on that fourth line, I think can be really fun. Um, again, just kind of more defensively, a little bit of grit down there in the bottom six, especially on that bottom line. Um, Never hurts, but could the defense maybe use a little bit of help? Absolutely. In terms of the forward core, honestly, I'm fine with where they're at. I think they've got exactly what they need. They've got the guys there. They know they can produce. We know they can produce. We know what they're capable of. They just got to go out there and do it. They have the tools to do it. I think they're gonna do it. So
yeah.
I don't really have much concern with them, even though I don't have them finishing. I have them finishing fifth in the division. I think there's a lot to like with this team, and not too many holes I can poke in what they're doing here, what they're building, what they're cooking
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. If Linus Ullmark doesn't bounce back a bit this season, that could be an issue. But I think we both expect him to, especially with their defense getting a bit better. Um, I'm just interested, just for the sake of it. Do you have anybody on this team that is just like, this person stands out as the best player on this team? Or is it a conversation?
Um, I guess it depends on what you value, right? Because like if it's like
What do you value? Like if you had to pick one of these players and say this is the best player on the Senators.
um Jake Sanderson.
Jake Sanderson already.
I kind of think so, right? Now it's impossible to use the argument of like, when you're talking about best players is like, oh, if you remove this player, because it's like you remove Jake Sanderson, that kills your defense. But you remove Brady Tkachuk, like that kills everything.
If you
Because that's
remove Linus Ullmark, now Levi Marilainen is the starter. So like, yeah, no, it's
yeah,
more of a wins above replacement. Who would help your average other team the most by getting added to their squad?
yeah. And I mean, I just think what Jake Sanderson brings is so valuable on that back end last year. Took a big step, 80 games played, 57 points. So, he's almost getting there to that 60 points a year. He's only 23 years old. And again, this is an Ottawa team that only finished fourth in their division. I think as they continue to get better, as Jake Sanderson himself continues to get better, that's only going to continue to rise. And I thought he was aside from maybe Brady Tkachuk because of his, physicality and hitting, I thought he was Ottawa's most noticeable player on the ice in the playoffs. And when you've got a team like that where
Fair.
at least all your top guys have never made the playoffs, he's the one that stood out the most and was out of all the guys trying to, make their mark there in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And I was wondering if you might say him. And
There's so many good options, though, I will say, though. Like
there's a couple, and for me it's Tim Stützle. I think he's starting to become
could
one
have
of the
easy,
more underrated guys in the league because he has a bit of a consistency issue, but he's one of those guys that can score a ton of goals or put up a ton of assists. And if he ends up doing both in the same season, he's going to explode offensively. Like his best offensive season, he had 39 goals and 90 points in only 78 games. So he missed a handful. But he's one of those players that I could see putting up. He's also only 23, which is crazy. He's played 5 full seasons in the NHL. I could see him putting up a 100-point season at some point. I don't know if that's happening next year, but I definitely think
the
he has
door's
that
open for
potential.
that to happen. Absolutely, yeah. I can easily see that. Overall, I like where Ottawa's at. I'm very happy with what they're running going into this season. In terms of awards, no. I mean, there's just
Right?
I love me some Jake Sanderson, but for the Norris, I don't see it yet. Give
It's
it a couple years,
pretty
and I think
unlikely.
that's a
Yeah.
possibility. As much as I would love to see him get one right now, like that's just and that's just because of how many other good defensemen there are. So in terms of awards, no, but that's fine. That's fine if you're Ottawa.
Yeah.
As long as you're in the playoffs, you're happy, and I have them in there. I know you don't, but you're just
Well,
an
we
Ottawa
both have
hater.
them in but we have them both in 5th.
But
All
you're an
right.
Ottawa hater,
I just think they have a couple less points.
and I just think they make the playoffs.
They're a victim of my support for Columbus, all right?
And fair. Nah, fair.
You know what?
I can't badmouth Columbus.
Just because we haven't said anybody for awards, who on this team do you think, if they were to win one, if they were somehow guaranteed one trophy, who would win it?
Honestly, Brady Tkachuk for the Mark Messier Leadership Award. Fuck, why not? That one honestly just kind of makes sense.
I was legitimately thinking either Brady or Claude Giroux for the Messier Award as well.
It has to be Brady because he's going to be hitting guys and probably maybe gets a suspension or something here and there. And that's what we got to do. If you want to win the Mark Messier Leadership Award, you got to throw that elbow around.
Yeah, elbows and goals,
That's what
baby.
it takes. That's what it takes.
But for the sake of argument about a real trophy, I would say Linus Ullmark could win a Vezina. I mean, we've literally seen him do it within the last 3 years? I think it was 3 years ago. But it's pretty tough right now. There's a couple real good goalies at the top, but we've seen him be one of them before.
It's possible. Moving on here in the Atlantic Division. Next up here, we have the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal Canadiens who shocked everybody by making the playoffs last year and finally punching their ticket. Finishing the season, they finished 5th with 91 points. Went out in round 1 to the Washington Capitals.
5th with 91 points.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's so goofy.
The Montreal Canadiens here, going into next season, we have them finishing in 3, 2, 1, 6.
4. You have them down at 6.
I have them dropping down to 6. You have them bumping up to 4.
As far as our rankings go, now that we've laid it out, I can say I never moved the Panthers from 3rd. I always had them at 3rd. Originally, I had the Leafs at 4. I had the Canadiens at 2nd originally.
Wow.
And then I compared their lineups, and I was going back and forth, and I was like, at the end of the day, that Matthias Michelli and Nicholas Waugh ads were just enough to help their depth that I was like, I think I think they're still up here for the Leafs, but I think the Canadiens are going to really start being good this next season. They were already good last season, and they kind of squeaked into the playoffs. I think they had less points than the Flames, who ended up missing in the West. But I think they're going to be a real good team this season, and I do have them in fourth, making the playoffs.
And I obviously don't even have them in the potential for wildcard spot in 6. I have them missing.
Yeah, you were trying to get Sens fans on my shit about having them miss the playoffs. Get ready for Habs to come for you.
I'm fine with that. If they want to come after me, I'm totally okay with that. My DMs are open. Come at me.
Your DMs are going to get torn to shred by a guy with a AI-generated Patrick Laine profile picture. Get ready.
Can't wait.
Get him.
No, overall, it's not even like I dislike where the Montreal Canadiens are at. They've got a lot of great talent. They've got a lot of young talent coming in. But I've got three key concerns with them, and I think they're valid. Firstly, the second line center.
Yeah,
we talked about before. We talked about they're moving out Carey Price. You currently have Kirby Dach in there. Is Kirby Dach going to play 82 games? Or is he going to play 2 games? That's a valid question. And I like Kirby Dach, but the health has not quite been there. And
he only has to get to the deadline, though. Once he gets to the deadline, Crosby will take the second center position.
Crosby ain't leaving. But even still, then by then, if you're running all year long with potentially not even having Kirby Dach, and then Alex Newhook is your second line center, that hurts, because whoever you have there, that's who's playing with Ivan Demidov. The front runner for the Calder. You need it doesn't even have to be good, just a capable, second line center. Like I threw up before, like an Alex Wenberg would be great there. Just a great veteran leader who is smart and can make Demidov's life easier. Secondly is the defense. Yeah, you brought in Noah Dobson, and that's fun and great, but you already had Lane Hudson.
They have a lot of offense on that blue line, but they need a couple guys that can help shut it down.
And that's a little bit concerning. And then the third is I really like Sam Montembeault, but can he replicate last year? And is he going to be able to with this blue line in front of him that, again, is very offensively minded? You've got Caden Gooley, which is great, but then you've got Noah Dobson, Lane Hudson, Mike Matheson. And Mike Matheson's probably your best defensively out of the 3, but you probably want at least something else a bit more. And I know fans say, well, we have our Jack guy. Cool. Man, fucking cool. So, I mean, realistically, I think those are
good
3.
For you.
I think those are 3 valid concerns. Can they easily fix that in one day? Yeah. You don't even have to touch the goaltending. Give them a good second line center. Bring in, someone a bit more defensively minded on the blue line. And I think you're in a better spot. But, are you expecting Ivan Demidov in his rookie year to carry your second line? I mean, you potentially could, but you probably don't want that necessarily just yet. Or at least if that, you want to give him guys that he can learn from out there.
Or at least good enough to help finish his plays and,
Yeah. I love the addition of Zach Bolduc. I think that's awesome. But again, he's also very young. He literally just finished his rookie season last year. So, but that fourth line looks fine. Josh Anderson, Jake Evans, Brendan Gallagher. Just a couple of vets and a great young stud centerman beefing it out down there. Sweet. Patrick Laine. I don't even know what we're getting, what Patrick Laine we're gonna get.
Yeah.
This is a guy that we has put up 40 goals before. You probably want more consistency in his game.
5v5 especially.
5v5 is huge. Power play, you know exactly what you're going to get, and that's fine. But you need a guy that can also play 5-on-5. You can't have a guy that's just go out there on the power play, score a goal. but then we can't trust you out there the rest of the game 5-on-5. Like, you need him more consistency and clean up the
Yeah.
5v5 game.
It's just like Tampa, Stamkos was still doing great and producing very well, but his plus minus was looking pretty rough near the end. And, we could have Stamkos or we could have Gensel. Well, in the year of our Lord 2025, it's a bit easier of a choice now. I don't know if they're going to try it or not, but I think it could be the best thing Cole Caulfield does in his entire career if he can learn to play on the left side. He's a right-handed shot. If he gets to be on the left wing and have that inside hand on shooting with guys like Suzuki and Demidov on that first line, like he'll set the franchise record for goals for the Canadiens if he can do that. If he can learn to pick up the puck on his backhand on the wall and make left wing work and move Demidov up into that first right wing, I think that'll be huge. Like having such a good goal scorer and such a good just all around offensive machine like Demidov, it just feels wrong to not have them on the same line being the plan of the future, even if it doesn't happen this season. So I would love to see one of those two at least take a crack at being a left winger, because I don't see either of them being a center.
No.
And obviously that would move Slavkovsky down in the lineup to the second line, but he's really good. But I mean, Demidov, Caulfield, those are guys with potential for like Rockets and Art Rosses. So,
and they actually you talked me into my one other point actually that I can make, and it's when we talk about every team, it's these young guys and taking these next steps. When you talk about Slavkovsky, he hasn't taken that next step yet, really. Yeah, it was an improvement from his rookie year to his second year, but from second to third, identical results. The overall team got way better, but he stayed the same. And if you're Montreal, you're really hoping that he goes from 18 goals to at least 25. He goes from 51 points to probably 65 points. If you're going to be a playoff team, you're going to be on the top line with guys like Suzuki and Caulfield. You need to be at the minimum 65 points. 51 points in 79 games on that top line ain't going to cut it. It's just not. And if he keeps doing that, that's fine. But that's fine for a second liner. That is not the production of a first liner. So
if
I am really hoping
producing that way,
he has a breakout year here, because I think it's desperately needed. For them, especially considering they've already given him the bag.
Yeah, and I do, for what it's worth, I do think he is going to have a bit of a breakout year, or at the very least continue his improvement, because one more point in 3 less games, you can call it an increase in production. There was also 2 less goals. It was basically the same. But
it's when you look at the overall team,
the plus minus got better by, what is that, 23 from a minus 19 to a plus 4. If he can build on that a bit, and Suzuki's really broken out now, if he just continues what he did last season, this guy's only 21. He's going to get way better. I'm pretty certain, and I think more than likely it is this next season.
The door is open for it. The possibilities there. He's got the ball now. He's being given the opportunity.
Is he on power play 1?
And that's he's got to be, right. Yeah.
Well, so that's quarterbacked by Leighton Hudson. You got to assume Demidov is probably getting in there.
Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield, right there. Your top 4 forwards,
but Patrick Laine, he's making all that money to be a power play guy. Do you put him on the second one?
Yeah, you put him on the second one. Say, everybody out there, just feed it to Laine. Because now the other team, you're like, oh, we stopped their first unit. We're okay. And then you see Patrick Laine come on. It's like, oh fuck, now we got to
now it's Dobson passing to Laine.
Yeah, exactly, right. So they're gonna have 2 good power plays, or at least the opportunity for 2 good power plays. Like, the talent is there, the players in the right positions are there. There's there's just those few things that I'm a little bit worried about, but they could all be wiped away overnight. But overall, I'm sticking with it. Montreal in
Yep.
6.
Fair enough. And
Habs fans, if you want to come after me, like that's fine. But I'm standing my ground.
Yeah, it's too bad. Kirby Dach looks like he was supposed to be so good, and he's just been derailed by injuries. If he can be healthy, I would love to see him be able to be the guy that they wanted when they brought him in. Kind of similar with Alex Newhook almost as well, maybe to a lesser degree because he wasn't a a 3rd overall pick. But
yeah,
you know what? If one of those guys can get healthy for them and take a bit of a step, that would be so big for them.
Yeah, I mean, I really have much more to say on them. I do still like where they are. I still think they're on a great path, but
yeah,
we see a couple of teams. You finally make the playoffs and you get in, and then the next year you just miss out, and that's okay because you're still on a great path. You're still a young team. You still got great players who aren't even
they overachieved
in the NHL yet. So, yeah, I don't think there's any concern in Montreal if the playoffs aren't for them this year. In terms of awards, I mean, the obvious one, Ivan Demidov for the Calder. I mean, he is literally the favorite for the Calder going into this year.
Yeah.
Nick Suzuki, I think his name's really going to start to pop up more and more now in those Selke conversations, in that Selke voting consistently year after year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I would borderline predict he's a top 3 Selke candidate this year for finish. So we'll see where he ends up with that.
Lane Hudson potentially in the conversation for the Norris.
I was gonna
the
say,
only thing
he
I'm
puts up a lot of
thinking
points.
with that is it's gonna have to be a lot of goals. If you're looking at 2 defensemen who both have, say, 90 points, but one's got, but 15, 16 more goals than the other one, they're probably going to go with the one who put up the more goals.
Yeah. Cale Makar put up 30 last year. Like that's what they have to compete with now. That's so goofy. Yeah. So yeah.
But overall, I do like Montreal. I really do like the makeup of the team. I like their roster now and the young guys that are going to be coming up in the coming years. I just don't have making the playoffs this year, and it's a good division.
Yeah,
it's a good division.
Yeah.
Anything left to say on them before we move on to the next team?
No, I think we've covered them pretty good. They even got that
pretty deeply.
They got that depth pair, that depth forward line of Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Jake Evans, which is a fun bang and crash line. Jake Evans doesn't really fit in with the 2 guys, but it's good to mix it up. I do like they're heavy and aggressive and also overpaid 4th line. It's their second, judging by what the predicted lines are. That'll be their second most their second highest cap hit for a forward line is their 4th line. So
not ideal. It's not ideal, but again, they're
it also means yeah. It also means when those expire, you don't have to worry about
pay their young guys.
Yeah, they can pay the guys higher up and be just fine. And they've got a lot of great contracts already locked in.
Absolutely, yeah. Moving on here to the Detroit Red Wings. The Detroit Red Wings finished 6th in the Atlantic last year, 86 points. What is that? 9 years now missing the playoffs for them, some shit like that. It's been a while for Detroit.
It has. We'll see. I'm gonna move them.
Oh, you're moving them.
I'm moving them. I don't like where I have them. Now I like where I have them.
I like where I have them. I really like where I have them. The Detroit Red Wings here in 3, 2, 1, 7.
7. Yep.
Damn, you moved them down. I was happy with them there.
Yeah, well, I'm happier now that I have them there.
Fuck, yeah. Really tough for Detroit. Fuck, man. I mean, it goes back to what we say. Hard to feel bad for Red Wings fans considering what they've gotten to witness, but for the ones that are a lot younger, like now that I'm starting to see a lot of really young Red Wings fans, I'm like,
I feel bad for the
I kind of feel bad
12-year-old
for you.
Red
Yeah,
Wings
but all
fans.
the old ones are like, oh man, I want to see him back. Fuck you. And it's so good for so long. Done with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do feel bad for the young Red Wings fans because it has been really rough. And their expectations are always so high too. They're always so excited.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I moved
it's
them
not good.
down. I moved them down, and I'm like, I had them originally in 6th and moved them to 7th, and I was like, I I had them I had them a bit higher up because I was like, they just feel kind of doomed to be a little higher than they should be almost, because their ownership so badly wants them to win, because they were told, like, what was it, 5 or 6 years ago now, when they got their new arena, like, their management was like, "We need to get in the playoffs. We need to play playoff games in this new arena," and they still haven't
Yeah.
done that. And
Yeah.
they they need to get worse before they get better a little bit, and they just keep buying on things that aren't really making them good enough,
They shouldn't buy on.
but it's holding them out of the bottom of the league, which, and I mean, Red Wing fans, they love to bring up, we've been screwed with the lottery in the past decade, and they had one season where they were horrendously bad, but beyond that, I mean, it's not really getting screwed to
Well,
not win
and
the first overall pick.
they also, I mean, yeah, because they're like, oh, we didn't get first round pick, we got screwed. But it's like, would you rather have, what was it, Lafreniere or
Did they take Raymond that year?
Raymond? Yeah, Raymond.
Like, yeah,
I feel like it's a pretty obvious answer, but if you want to bitch about it, you can bitch about it, but you look kind of silly doing it.
yeah, looking goofy wearing your reverse retro Wings jersey. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's too bad. I like a lot of the individual players on this team. I really like
Yeah.
Lucas Raymond and Mo Sider. Marco Kaspers was great last season, going to get better. Dylan Larkin is a great captain. They still have
Alex
Patty
great
Kane,
fit.
who's
I would still love to see
fighting
Patty
off.
Kane back in the playoffs. Like,
Yeah,
I'd like to see Showtime in there one more time. And does it happen as part of the Red Wings? I don't know, because I don't know how many years Kane, is gonna have left in him. Like, their forward core overall isn't that bad though. It's the defense that just kills this team.
Yzerman doesn't know how to build a defensive core.
No,
I just
it's not good. Their
the
forward core,
amount
honestly,
of
I'm fine
different.
with. I can't even poke holes in it. I like it.
Well, the one I'm looking at has James Van Riemsdyk as their first
Well,
line
I
left
don't.
wing.
Yeah, I don't quite know if he's actually going to be that going into next season.
I think that's the assumption of keeping DeBrincat and Kane together. But even if you move DeBrincat up, that is it JVR or is it Rasmussen on the second line? Like, it's good, but it's not
I don't even hate
great.
Marco Casper on that first line. I think I kind of liked him a little bit more on the wing. And Red Wings fans, I
Yeah,
think we're kind of feeling the same way. A JT Compher's fine on that second line center. Then you can bring up Andrew Kopp. A third line of Rasmussen, Kopp, and Van Riemsdyk. That's just a big, bulky, beefy line that can get
yeah,
it done. You still have Jonathan Berggren, who's down on the fourth line. Like, you can, elevate him up the lineup easily. The thing is you've got so many options to work with and good players that elevate the guys around them, right?
yeah,
So they're fine there. But then you scroll down a bit on daily faceoff. You see the blue line. It's like, oh fuck. Okay, here's the problem. This is an issue,
like
and it's
Mo
not something
Sider
that's an easy fix.
No, Mo Sider's great. Love that. Ben Sherratt riding shotgun with him. We're still on the first pair, and you're starting to lose me. Second pairing, Simone Edvinsson and Albert Johansson. I've never heard of Albert Johansson. Is he new? I genuinely haven't. Like,
It's just not good.
it's just rough.
It's really just not good.
It's just rough. you know, Bernard Docker, Gustafson, that's fine on the third pair. But, you know, having a problem with the second pairing and one of the guys on the first pair is that's about half of the decor and
Hold on here. I'm
60%
just
of the
gonna
minutes that'll be eaten up by defense.
hold on because you're forgetting about someone on the blue line here. Let me just pull them up
Am
here.
I?
Oh, forgetting about a couple of guys here. Travis
Uh,
Hamonic,
oh,
Justin Hall.
noted needle
Like, fuck,
mover Justin Hall
where do you fit them into this equation?
in the press box.
I mean, thankfully, like they do have Axel Sandin Pellikka, which I think you just throw him on a
Yeah.
on a pair with Bernard Docker. Just make it fun for announcers. Just tell them just to
Axel
pass back
Sandin
and forth to
Pellikka
each other.
passes it to Jacob Bernard Docker.
By the time the announcer finishes that, the puck's probably all the way down Detroit's end, and they probably got scored on. Let's be real.
Have you ever been watching a game and it's one of those announcers that has to say the first and last name of the player every time, and he just falls behind on the play-by-play announcing really fast? Like it's on the power play,
Yeah.
and he's like, Nikita Kucherov back to Victor. Oh, it's over to Jake Gensel. He just like starts
And
panicking.
then they just stop for like 2 seconds. They're like, all right, let's just. And then they try again. It's like,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah. He just like waits for
stop.
it to go to the point and resets. One thing I do like about this team, though, they've finally done a bit of upgrading in net. They went out and they got John Gibson,
Which is huge.
and they have Cam Talbot as the backup, which I don't mind either. So they got a solid goaltending setup now. Eh, I'm at least glad that John Gibson. It appears that he's going to, you know, a situation where he's going to be able to do well,
Yeah.
because that's one of the longest I've ever waited for a trade. Like, we were talking
It
about John Gibson getting traded for like 4 years, right?
it was a while. Yeah,
Like,
it
forever.
was it was quite a bit. Yeah, he was in rumors for. And is there better place he probably could have gone to than Detroit? Absolutely. But is he going to get every chance to succeed and reestablish himself in the league as, you know, a great goal like we know it can be? He's going to have that chance in Detroit. And again, you know, I think Detroit's going to be in that position where it's the defense that could be hurting them. You know and
Yeah.
John Gibson, how much can you bail out that decor? I'm really hoping that Sandin Pellikka, you know, makes the team, because I think he's a great addition to the blue line, more so offensively, but that helps your power play.
This is a
It helps 5 on
defense that
5 still, because if you're in
it's
the
a
other
little
team's
bit
end,
different than the Canadians, right? Like, they could
yeah,
use the scoring. Like, they have plenty of hitting and a good amount of, shot blocking and stuff like that, but they don't have a ton of points, and they don't
yeah,
have,
absolutely, yeah,
I don't know. I almost want to say like the guys with like just that really high defensive IQ,
yeah,
Like the guys who are just great defensively, but not, you know, I feel like a lot of the times people will see really big guys, and if they hit a lot, they just assume they're also good defensively. Like, Jack Guy's not going to be
yeah,
great at shutting down for you, but if you could get a not as good, but a Slavin type defensive defenseman, or a Tanev, I think that would
yeah,
be really good for this team as well.
yeah. I think so, right? Like that's a main thing of what they need. And I don't know. I want to say it'll get fixed, but honestly, from what we've seen from Stevie Y, again, like you mentioned, not the best at
Yeah.
building the blue line there for them.
I think he's been handcuffed by ownership a decent bit throughout his tenure, but at this point, I think it's still like, uh at this point, even with the bit of handcuffing they've done, he should have been able to put something better together.
That's kind of what I feel with it, right?
Yeah, because they
Um,
signed a lot of guys. Like, it's not for lack of movement, but they
mhm.
don't get the guys they need.
Yeah. Overall, in terms of awards, anything you're feeling here with?
I mean, not not really, honestly.
Yeah,
Sandit Pellikka for the Calder if he makes the team and jumps to power play 1 really quickly, but that's
Could
whatever
potentially be this year's
tier
Lane
is
Hudson,
past the
maybe,
dark
but
horse, he's probably in that
yeah,
area, an outside pick. That's that's about it. I don't know.
kind of what I'm. Yeah,
Maybe Patty Kane locks up the Messier award, but
maybe. I mean, yeah. Overall, though, yeah. There's nothing that I'm kind of seeing that I'm like, I could realistically kind of see that
yeah.
happening, and that's okay. It happens. Not everyone can win. Um. So next up, that means we have the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres finished 7th last year in the Atlantic, 79 points. Did not make the playoffs. Braden, the Buffalo Sabres in 3, 2, 1, 4th.
6. You have them in 4th.
4th and making the playoffs in a wild card spot. I'm
No,
all
I have
in
them 6th.
on.
They're not making it. They're
I'm
bad.
all in on the Buffalo Sabres this year. I don't really want to go off daily faceoff because they have Yuri Kulich as their first line center, and I don't know why.
Cap wages has it too.
Yeah, I don't know why that's the case.
Who plays center on this team? Do they have
Tage
centerman?
Thompson.
Is he not a winger?
No.
Oh,
He's a
well, they got
center,
him as a winger
right?
on here.
Yeah. But you got Josh Norris, Ryan McLeod, you got Josh Stone, Peyton Krebs. I think Zach Benson was a center in junior, but they kind of moved him over to the wing for now because you just have quite a few centermen there. You did have Dylan Cousins, but you have Josh Norris now for that instead.
Which could turn out good for them if he stays healthy and gets back to scoring the goals. Because he was a great goal scorer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we talked about Buffalo a bit back earlier in the offseason when they, moved on from JJ Peterka, and I was kind of on the side of, saying again, but I don't necessarily think Buffalo won the trade, but I was defending them because I still thought objectively it was a decent trade for them because they're one of the best offensive teams last year in terms of scoring goals, but they were one of the worst defensively. And all that trade did was make them better defensively with Josh Stone and Kesselring, who, again, also right-handed defenseman, which you desperately needed.
Yeah.
On paper, it is a good team, and I'm on the belief that the defense is going to be much better. The goaltending is solid there. They just have the trouble of not having the greatest defense in front, and I think the offense will still be there because you still have your big weapons up front to produce offensively for you. So I think Buffalo
and most
breaks
of them
the curse.
are so young that they're going to get better as well. Like they just they need to shore up the defensive side, and we talked about it a bit last year when who was it? One of their guys was it Darlene? Was it Tage Thompson? Who got blown up? Who got absolutely destroyed or something? And then nobody went to fight the guy or help him. Like they need a little bit of that fuck you attitude. They need to get a little pissy and go in there and get to the dirty areas, I don't know, make believe, play a little bit of playoff hockey, even though you're in Buffalo. Like, go get a little sandpaper with it. And I think that and defensive play would make this a great team because, they have a ton of offensive power. And, their decor looks great now. Their goalies, they haven't really been great, but they also haven't been in a great position. So they definitely have the promise of it at the very least. I just have them at, what did I have them at, 6th? Yeah, 6th. I had them at 6th.
And that's I feel like it's basically a spot where Buffalo, Montreal, and Ottawa can all be interchangeable. They could all be within 2 points of each other at the end of the season. Hell, there's a chance even Detroit's in that mix. It's kind of that cluster of you have your kind of, at least in our case, your top 3, your bottom 1, and then you've got the other 4 all in a mix right there. And honestly, there's a chance it could just be your top 3 and the bottom 5 are all in a cluster there and in a mix by the end of the season. So
And that's kind of what I
I'm just a
expect.
believer in Buffalo. I really like what they did in the offseason. Again, I don't think they won the trade, but I think overall it actually made them still better going into next year because they had to get better defensively. That's been their weakness. That's a big part of the reason why they always go on those 10, 11 game losing streaks in mid-November, mid-December, whatever, and it just takes them out of the running. Just destroys them.
Yeah.
There. So, you know, you look at last year, they finished, what's that, 11 or 12 points behind Montreal. You don't go on that 11 game losing streak, you're right in there then. Or whatever they was. Actually, I think it was more. Wasn't it like 13 or something?
I want to say,
It was fucking bad.
I think the record is like the Penguins went on I want to say a 17 game losing streak at one point. I think the Buffalo Sabres either tied it or came within one. I think it was 16 or 17 games. Like it was
It was
definitely
just
over
not.
10. And
It was just, and that kills him right there. That doesn't happen. You're you're knocking on the door of the playoffs. You're potentially
if
in
you
that
play
wild card
500
spot.
hockey during that time, you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
By a couple points. Like yeah, I look at this team, I believe in all of these players, and then their name is beside the Buffalo Sabres logo, and I'm like, no, they can't do it.
Yeah, well,
I
and that's
I would love for
that's
them to
very
make
fair.
it, but I'm just at that point where I'm gonna pick them to miss the playoffs every year until they make the playoffs, and then I get to pick
Because
them
then if they
again.
prove you wrong, it's like who cares? You're just happy
Yeah,
they're in. Because we all want Buffalo in the playoffs, and if you don't, I think you just hate hockey then,
I think
and
you
you're just a
hate Buffalo
bully.
probably.
Well, and if you do, like, I don't blame you, but I'm a big Buffalo believer this year. And if I'm proven wrong, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
they
But
they've let me down before.
the big
I'm not
gotcha moment is,
surprised.
the Buffalo Sabres didn't make the playoffs. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
So
like yeah, I wasn't expecting to as a long shot. But yeah, like Tage Thompson, Zach Benson, Josh Norris, if he can stay healthy, Alex Tuck, Jason Zucker stuck
Alex
around,
Tuck
Yuri
is really good.
Kulich. Ryan McLeod was a beast for them. Jack Quinn, I think, is only going to get better. Josh Doan, he's going to do his shit defensively, make him better. And then it's the blue line. Bowen Byram with Rasmus Dahlin. Bowen Byram, I don't think is a top pair guy, but with Rasmus Dahlin, Dahlin probably helps make him a top pair guy. Second
Yeah,
pair, Owen Power finally has a buddy in Michael Kesselring. He's finally got
that's
a
a
right-hand defenseman to play
great
alongside him,
that's a
and
great second pair.
both big boys, both 6'5" or taller.
Like,
And you're
I'll say it. That is a Stanley Cup level second pairing. Like,
yeah,
that's the kind of second pair that cup winning teams put together, where they
yeah,
have players at that level, or at least one, especially in Owen Power's case, of that elite potential on the
absolutely. Yeah.
second pairing.
And then the third pair, you've got Matthias Samuelsson, who's nothing flashy offensive, but solid defensively, and Connor Timmins, who again, in terms of advanced analytics, was one of the best right-handed third pairing defensemen last year, and he's playing on the right side on your third defensive pair. So if he can do what he was doing last year, that's huge, and
And
that's a
with a
huge
defensive guy
improvement to
like
your blue line.
Samuelson, he should be able
Yeah,
to. Like,
it just puts him in a better spot.
yeah.
Because I think he was in Pittsburgh last year, and so like brutal.
I think Buffalo should be one of the top teams uh, that needs to be ready for this entire season at any point, unless they're doing great. If you're just even playing 500 hockey, even if you're in the playoffs a little bit, unless you're like top two in the division at the time it happens, if one of those really good head coaches becomes available, like how St. Louis picked up Montgomery last season, if that happens, you fire your coach that day and
Yeah, you say
and
sorry, Lindy, but
you throw
we gotta
money
make a
at the
move.
other guy. Like,
Yeah, absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
I think getting a new head coach in there would be great. I don't think they have to, but if one of those good coaches becomes available, I mean, what are you risking by going for it and firing Lindy Ruff, right? It didn't
Exactly.
go great last season. They had the big losing streak, which honestly, I think those big losing streaks is often, that's a little more reflective on a coach than a lot of things can be, because it just if a coach can't rally the troops to win one of those games, especially after, they're once they're at that 7, 8, 9 losses, and at one point didn't they have like the owner or the GM or somebody big came down and like did a speech?
Yeah.
Like I think that was around the 13 game mark. Like
It was not good. It was
you,
not
you
good
gotta
times for Buffalo.
you gotta bring in an outside guy when like kind of like 60-70% of a head coach's job is to get everybody ready and hyped and ready to run through a brick wall for him for the game. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a real good coach could help these guys as well.
100%. And I would totally be on board
I don't know
if
if
they
any of
pulled
the
someone
good
off like that,
coaches
but
are on the hot seat
on the
enough
hot,
that it's
yeah.
going to happen, but
Anything can happen, I guess, though, eh?
and I don't know if even if money's no object, I have no idea if any of these guys would be willing to go coach in Buffalo at this point.
It's a pretty big thing on the coach's resume, though. If you're the one that gets Buffalo back in the playoffs, it's pretty fucking cool. You'd
It
be a
would be
hero.
cool.
Would
Yeah.
be cool. But overall, I really do like where Buffalo's at, and again, they do have a lot of great talent who can easily surprise people and get better, and that just makes them overall better. Really like the blue line. I think the goaltending is fine, and I think it'll be better overall, though, just because of the defense in front getting better. So, Buffalo in the playoffs. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll see.
In terms of individual awards, I think the biggest one is Rasmus Dahlin. I think if he's healthy for a full season, he's going to be in that Norris conversation. I don't think anyone's shocked by that. Like, he is
No.
one of the best in the game.
I'm seeing a lot of people starting to have
think
him
that's about it.
rounding out their top 3 for defensemen.
I don't hate that.
And I don't know if he's there
I'm
for
not
me,
gonna
but
argue it.
he's one of the guys that I would have in that conversation to figure it out.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Outside of that, though, I don't really see anything else in terms of awards, really. I
yeah,
think that's kind of it. But
I mean, you could throw Tage Thompson for the Rocket in there just because I think he was top 3 in goals last season. And like if you're at that point, I mean,
fair. Yeah, that's that's a shout can throw in there for sure. Absolutely.
But
any other ones there, or I don't got any more.
I think that's about it. I don't know many of their rookies if they're coming in for the Calder, but
Yeah,
that's
with
really
this
the only
rookie
one that I could
class.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, to round out the Atlantic Division here, we got the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins finished 8th in the division last year with 76 points. You've been following along with this episode, you know where this is heading. Braden in 3, 2, 1, 8.
8th.
There we go.
Honestly, I would have had them up in
I know
like
you're not
7.
comfortable about putting them in 8. You're nervous.
Oh no, I'm not. And I wanted to put them in 6 or 7 just because they do still have a good amount of talent. Swayman, assuming he has a bounce back year, he missed training camp in the first couple games of the season, contract talks and all that. Pasternak, obviously, their top 2 defensemen in Lindholm and McAvoy were both out with for a good amount of time last season. Like those guys coming back, and just the nature of being the Bruins, they're like a cockroach. They'll just never die. I wouldn't be shocked if they were 6th or 7th, but I mean, like, look at all the good things we were saying about the Sabres, and I had them 7th.
Yeah, true.
Or 6th.
Yeah.
I moved them up to 6th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like it's just a really strong division. There's no Chicago Blackhawks at the bottom, so somebody had to be at the bottom, and they're the only one who's not looking to take a huge step forward, I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean, you think they might
you've
be.
still got one of the top players in the world in Pasternak, which is great, but and you actually Morgan Geekie was incredible last year. One of the best free agent signings in Boston Bruins history, actually. With the season he had, you got McAvoy, you got Lindholm, you got Swayman. It's good talent there, but it's not a deep enough team. They're kind of going through a retool, especially when you look at their upcoming prospects. You have James Hagens and about it. Boston really doesn't have a good track
Yeah.
record of drafting. Um, they might continue to sell off some pieces as they maybe try and tank this year, and you get a guy like Gavin McKenna that turns things around instantly for you. Um, but yeah, this year it's going to be a struggle. It's going to kind of be Pasternak and Geeky trying to carry the offense for the team.
Lindholm,
You
if he
know that
bounces
Lindholm
back,
and
we'll see.
I guess Hampus Lindholm, him and McAvoy are going to be still beasts on the back end, but outside of those two, if they're not on the ice, how's it going to go? Swayman, yeah, he's going to have a bounce back season if Boston is serious about contending. They're just I feel like they're just in that weird stage of just you're early on in a rebuild and you're just kind of waiting to see how things go before you figure out what the next move is.
Yeah. I feel like they're in the early stages, I would say, of a retool. More so, just because.
Oh yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. I thought you said rebuild.
Oh no, I might have, but I did mean retool.
Oh,
If
okay,
I did,
because
I don't know what
yeah,
I said.
um,
Long
yeah,
day.
just because Pasternak, Swayman, I don't think McAvoy. I don't think they're moving those guys. They just why would you? They got them locked in for long term. I'm pretty sure on all three of them, and they're great players. That's how you win. So I think they're gonna try and keep those guys around and slowly build it back up with them there. As long as those guys are willing to do that for depends how long it takes. If they bring in some young guys and they're not looking so bad in 2 years, then it's probably fine. If 3 years go by and they're in the same spot and they're like, okay, now we have to tear it down. I can't imagine Pasternak after 3 years of losing is going to be okay with the team getting worse. So
Yeah.
I don't expect them to be great this season. But they either have to show a lot of promise or they have to be really bad. Don't let
Yeah.
yourself get stuck in that middle zone that Minnesota was stuck in for like 15 years.
Yeah. And a couple things with Boston is obviously, you have a new head coach in Marco Sturm there who don't quite know what to expect. I am excited to see how that works out. And one thing that I saw some people not being a fan of, but I kind of like is they're not naming a captain going into the season, which, yeah, you could have gone the route of just, giving it to Pasternak, giving it to McAvoy, whatever. But I also kind of like that because it was Marchand who had the C who left, that kind of ended an entire era of Bruins hockey. David Krejci gone, Lucic, Marchand, Bergeron, Chara, all those guys gone. This is a completely new era of Bruins hockey. So
yeah,
is it probably after this year gonna go to a McAvoy Pasternak? Yeah, probably.
yeah.
But it's also just kind of
different logo,
just,
even, right?
Yeah,
They changed
it
the
just
logo
kind of
in the off season, so they're
kind of opens the door, being like, this is a new era of Bruins hockey. Come make your mark and be part of this kind of next generation type of thing. I don't know. I just kind of like it that they didn't just be like, we know we're gonna suck. We're just gonna slap the C on someone, just being like, you know what? We don't need someone with the C right now when we're just in the start of this kind of new process that we're in and retooling. And so I don't mind it. You don't have to put any extra pressure on anybody. Just tell your guys, hey, go do your thing, make your mark, become a big time player on this team, and you'll be here for a while if you want to be. And I kind of like that mentality because, again, I don't think the Bruins are going in thinking, we're going to make the playoffs. I think they're kind of like, we're going to fight like hell for it, but they don't really have the expectation of it's playoffs or bust for us, like a Tampa, Toronto, Florida type of thing.
Yeah, that
they know
doesn't
where
mean the
they
season's
are.
a failure.
They know where they're at. They got a couple draft picks. I hope their scouting department is completely overhauled. They're definitely at least getting some help because it's been fucking bad, in the last few years.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I'm curious to see how they navigate this because this is uncharted territory for them in the last while.
Yeah. It since I've been paying attention to hockey, I haven't seen the Bruins look like this ever. So it'll be interesting, and they are still going to be the Bruins to play against. They might not be winning, but they went out, they got, Tanner Jeannot, brought in a guy like Mikey Asamont, who's not as big, but like he's still forechecks like crazy. They Zadorov, like they've got a lot of these guys that are still Bruins, that
Yeah.
Boston Bruin player, the same way if I say, this guy's a Philadelphia Flyer, that guy's, I just say that you're picturing a guy who's big as fuck and angry.
Yeah.
And they got quite a few of those guys. I think they're going to start carving out a different identity than they've had, but I think it is still going to be very uniquely Boston.
Yeah. It's kind of where I'm with it.
And I do think they're going to win Gavin McKenna.
Just, knowing the way that things go, probably.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't have much more to say on them. I'm very curious to see how they navigate this season and, how the team does and where do they go from there? Do they sell? Do they buy? What do things look like? I am very curious to see how it plays out for them, though.
Awards. What are you thinking for awards for this team?
I mean, Pasternak would have to go nuclear if he's going to win the Art Ross or anything like that, because he's, again, I am a fan of Morgan Geekie. I think Elias
he's
Lindholm
most likely to win the Rocket.
Yeah.
I think it goes like Rocket.
With this team, I don't.
Art Ross for likelihood. But
I think his numbers are still going to be solid, but just with the team around him, I think it's just going to be too tall of a task. It's going to have to be him carrying the team like on a nightly basis. So
yeah,
I just don't see it. I don't see anything for this Bruins team this year.
Yeah, there's really not much. Once upon a time, Lindholm was a Selke type guy, but we'd need a huge bounce back for that to be the case. McAvoy for the Norris, it's possible. It's probably not very likely.
Yeah, I just don't see anything with this team.
Yeah,
because it's going to have to be them, the guys winning the award, doing it basically kind of by themselves consistently, 82 games. It's just too tall of a task in such a tough division, and on top of that, a tough conference in general. But I think with all that, we are at the end of this episode. Once again, we do want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening. If you want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts on our predictions here for all teams in the Atlantic Division, or let us know who you think is going to finish where. You can do so at any of our socials. The links to all of the socials are in the description across all episodes, across all platforms. Brayden, it's been a long episode. It's been a lot of fun talking about the Atlantic Division. But before we wrap it up here, one last time, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I don't think that the Senators have what it takes to be in the playoffs, the same way Brundy does not think the Montreal Canadiens have what it takes to get into the playoffs. So if you have any specific thoughts on that, you can let us know about that on any of our socials or down in the comment section of, I don't know if like stuff like Spotify has comments or not, but
I think they do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know they definitely do on YouTube if you're watching the video version. So go say hi to us there and let us know if you're a Habs fan and you hate Brundy, or if you're Sens fan, you hate me now.
Nah, if Habs fans come after me, that's cool. I love it. Just relive my old Twitter days.
That's fair.
I'll come out of retirement.
Yeah, I'm there for you, Blue Jackets fans. I hope you sweep.
I am too. But
I hope they sweep Florida in the first round of the playoffs and make a nice playoff palindrome. Is it a palindrome?
Yeah.
And then you have you have Tampa getting swept by Columbus. Go 2 cup wins, trip to the finals. Then you have Florida, trip to the finals, 2 cup wins. It's their turn to get swept by Columbus.
It's been that long since the Blue Jackets sweep. Holy fuck. When you put it that way.
That was 6 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah, this shit sucked. I'm glad I started actually watching the games the year after that.
San Jose was still in the playoffs at that time. Crazy shit. But that does it for this episode. One fun time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we'll see all of you lovely people out on the ice later this week.